I struggled for a long time to try and figure out what happens between us, between the coach and the student. You know, the logs and the essays, and the coach responds, and occasionally we have a chat, but basically there's these interactions, mostly written. And I was trying to say, well, what does that add up to? I mean, how can you how can you describe whatever it is we create together in the virtual world? Because that's where most of it is. And I've chatted to half a dozen students about it, and they've come up with particular views. And I'd be interested in your view. If you step back a bit and say, well, I'm not talking about the coach or the student, I'm talking about whatever it is they create. What happens in what they've created? How would you describe what is created and what happens in that space, that virtual space? How would you respond to that, if you can?
If I don't want to just waffle, you see, Keith, so I'm just going to give myself something.
Sure,
to
no, take your time. No, take your time.
So what can I describe that process? I guess I was gonna liken it to like a tennis match, but I don't think it's not a tennis match. It's no, because it's the only thing I can think about. Like, if you take the topic that we're discussing, you know, yeah, it goes, and sometimes it doesn't come back, because it's, you know, it goes, comes back, goes, comes back as you sort of having the game, and then
there's a rally.
Yeah, some kind, and I think well, that's probably where my tennis analogy is going to win, because I don't want to just keep it for the sake of it. But I think what's happening is the idea that's going back and forth is being refined and
it's a bit of spin being put on it.
You know, but it is. It's, you know, so you take a raw idea about why do some people in some situations do so well, in other situations do rubbish, back, because of this. Oh right, yeah, okay, that's I can get that. Where do I read that from? Well, I don't agree with that. Have that one back. Well, yeah, and you might not agree with that, but here's the argument for it. I read this and this. Bang, it comes now. You don't do it a couple of times, and that's where you've had a real good rally on something.
And there's a point.
Yeah, and so when you look back on that rally that you've had, and all those, you know, there's my view at the beginning.
Yeah.
There's my view at the end.
Yeah.
Because we've debated this point. My view's changed.
Yeah.
My view on that particular is moved because we've had that rally. If I'd have just read it in that book here, perhaps I'm
written it.
I would have learnt a little bit, but it's I wouldn't have got to that bit of thinking. It's a bit like that quote that I've used, you know, about reading about swimming, jumping in the pool, and then see if you can swim or not. You're going to drown.
Sure.
And what we're doing with that rally is, you know, here's an idea, here's another idea. Go and see if you use it.
Dive in.
Yeah.
And come back.
Yeah.
Come back with your serve.
And I think that's the process. The process is enables you. It gets you past that back and forth. You know, I've been in the lecture hall. What does this mean? And the lecturer will go. It might give you a bit of an attention. You go back with something else, and it's like, that's not happening today, mate. Next, you go point, and it's killed, isn't it?
Yeah.
Where this, you go past that.
This ball is going to change its shape. Yeah. No, that's a good. I think it's a good analogy, and you know, it allows you to think of putting a different spin on something, a different meaning possibly on something, and sometimes it's a winner, and sometimes it's not, and also this idea of jumping into part of it is jumping into the water and trying it out. before you send it back.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like that analogy. And in a sense, it's that process which is converting this thought, which is, you read somewhere, into what David Byrne calls thinking. He says thinking only happens between people, and it's live. And then when they part and they stop thinking together, then it's just a thought. So there's this idea that the thought is alive in a relationship where there is some sort of debate and dialogue. Once it's just dropped and you stop thinking about it, then it's just a thought, like a leaf off a tree. You can still pick it up and do something with it, but it's dead. It's no longer informed by the energy, the curiosity and what does this really mean to me. Yeah, I like that.